The air was thick with the scent of charred burgers and chlorine. The kind of summer afternoon that promises nostalgia but delivers chaos instead. For Tessa Monroe, that moment, when she decided she'd had enough, didn't creep up quietly. It exploded like a firecracker in her face, right in the middle of what was supposed to be a simple family barbecue. Within an hour, she'd been accused of endangering a child's life, screamed at over a shattered phone, and had her patience wrung out like a soaked dish rag. She'd always known her sisters, Margot and Claire, could be insufferable, but she hadn't expected them to turn a lazy Saturday into a drunken battlefield. Worse, it was only the beginning of a storm that would upend her life. Tessa was 36, a financial analyst living with her husband Jack, in a quiet corner of Northern California, a small town called Willow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and whispering pines. They had no kids, a choice that felt right for their calm, orderly existence. Both worked in finance, crunching numbers by day and unwinding with hikes or old MOS by night. They weren't flashy people. Their life was a deliberate retreat from drama, a sanctuary carved out of simplicity. That meant steering clear of the raucous family gatherings Margot and Claire orchestrated with their boisterous husbands, Tom and Greg. Tessa had never been tight with her sisters. Margot, 42, had 3 kids. Claire, 44, had 4. To them, Tessa's childless life was an affronting act of rebellion against some unspoken code of womanhood. Every rare encounter was a chance for them to parade their exhaustion, their messy, loud motherhood, as if it were a crown Tessa had refused to wear. That Saturday, Tessa's parents, Ellen and Ray, had hosted an early 4th of July cookout at their sprawling house just outside Sacramento. It was a place Tessa remembered fondly from childhood: white picket fence, a sprawling backyard, and a shimmering pool that had once been her summer haven. She and Jack had tried to bow out sighting work, but Ellen's calls had worn them down. "Family sticks together," she'd said, her voice softening with each plea. "Your dad's been asking about you, Tess. And Jack's so good at lightening the mood." Jack, ever the peacemaker, had caved first, and Tessa relented, promising herself it'd be a quick in and out. When they pulled up, the driveway was a tangle of SUVs, their gleaming hoods reflecting the unrelenting sun. The backyard roared with the sound of kids shrieking, a chaotic symphony of splashing water and bare feet slapping concrete. Tessa sighed, already regretting the decision. Jack squeezed her hand, his hazel eyes steady. "Just a few hours. You've got this." She forced a smile and stepped into the fray. The scene was a circus. Over 24 people milled around, neighbors, cousins, strangers clustered near the grill or sprawled on lawn chairs. Margot and Claire were already deep in their cups, cheeks flushed from cheap vodka cocktails, laughing too loudly with Tom and Greg. The kids, ranging from 6 to 13, tore through the yard like feral creatures, unsupervised and sugared up. Ellen darted between the grill and the pool, trying to manage the chaos, while Ray sat in the hot tub, headphones on, pretending the world didn't exist. Tessa envied him. It took less than half an hour for disaster to strike. 3 of Margot's kids, Lila, 9, and the twins, Ethan and Owen, 7, barreled toward a guest named Diane, a soft-spoken woman in her 50s who'd been chatting by the pool. "Water fight!" they screamed, chauvining her with gleeful abandon. Diane stumbled, arms windmilling, and landed half-submerged on the pool steps. She didn't hit her head, thank God, but the near miss turned her face gray. Without a word, she climbed out, grabbed her purse and left, water dripping from her sundress.
"Mắt gót các cờ, qua vi nre a hen."
Kids being kids. "She's fine," Ellen muttered. Oh heavens! But no one apologized. Tessa's stomach twisted. She opened her mouth to speak, but Jack's grip tightened. "Nita, silent, stay out of it." She bit her tongue. She tried to distract herself, making small talk with a neighbor about the weather, but trouble found her again. Out of nowhere, Claire's oldest, 12-year-old Max, and 2 of Margot's boys zeroed in on her. "Tessa's turn," they yelled, charging like a pack of wolves. Instinct kicked and sidestepped, and the trio cannonballed into the pool. A spectacular splash followed by chaos. Max surfaced, coughing and clinging to the edge. Ethan flailed in the deep end, clearly unable to swim. Jack didn't hesitate to dove in, hauling Ethan and Owen to safety, while Ellen pulled Max out, her face pale with panic. Tessa braced for gratitude, but instead, Margot and Claire, slurring and furious, rounded on her. "What the hell, Tessa?" Margot shouted, jabbing a finger. "You just stood there. They could have drowned." Claire chimed in. "You think this is funny? Watching my kid choke?" Tessa's jaw dropped. "Are you serious? I dodged them. If I hadn't, I'd be in there too." "Who's supposed to be watching them, you?" Jack stepped forward, voice firm. "We're not your babysitters. Those are your kids. Own it." But logic drowned in their booze-soaked rage. The argument erupted, kids wailing, Ellen pleading, Margot cursing. When Tom, swaying like a lamppost in a storm, staggered over to talk man-to-man with Jack, Tessa snapped. "We're done," she said, voice cutting through the noise. "You want to drown in this mess? Be my guest." She grabbed Jack's arm and they walked out, leaving the shouting and tears behind. She thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. The next morning, as she stirred cream into her coffee, her phone lit up with texts. The first was from Margot. "The kids recorded that pool game on their phone yesterday, and now it's busted from the water. You need to pay for it." Tessa blinked, still groggy. Then Claire's message hit. "It's an iPhone 14 Pro Max, $1,200 each, barely a month old. You can't just dodge and let them fall in. That's on you." A third from Tom. "Don't make this weird, Tessa. 2 phones aren't a big deal for you. Send the money and we'll keep it cool." She set the phone down, hands trembling. Jack walked in, saw her face and frowned. "What now?" She slid the phone to him. He skimmed the texts, his jaw tightening. "They think you're their personal ATM for their reckless kids?" Tessa didn't respond at first. Part of her wanted to ignore it, let it fade. But the audacity burned. She typed back, fingers shaking with fury. "I'm not your babysitter, your bank, or your punching bag. I'm not paying for your negligence. And I'm done with all of you." She hit send, then blocked Margot, Claire, Tom, and Greg on everything text, calls, social media. She didn't want a single pixel of their lives in hers. Ellen called that afternoon, voice quivering. "Tessa, I know you're upset, but it was an accident." Tessa cut her off. "Mom, I'm not upset.
I'm exhausted."
Exhausted from being the family doormat. The kids run wild, the adults are trashed, and I'm the bad guy? Now they want me to pay for their mess? No. Ellen faltered. "The phones are pricey. Margot says they're important to the kids." Tessa snorted. "If they're so important, maybe they should have watched them instead of chugging vodka. I'm done bailing them out." Silence stretched, then Ellen sighed. "You're Dad and I just want you to come around. Don't let this break the family." Tessa's voice hardened. "Mom, the family broke when I became the scapegoat for 2 sisters who never own up to anything. I've had enough." She hung up. That night, Jack handed her a glass of Chardonnay and sat beside her in silence. It was better than any platitude. They watched a mindless comedy, ate buttered toast, and went to bed. But sleep eluded her. Margot's last text before the block, selfish as always, echoed in her mind. She replayed years of bending. Covering dinner tabs because we've got kids, renting vans for family trips because our car's too small, buying gifts deemed not good enough. Now they wanted her to foot the bill for their chaos again. Not this time. She wouldn't pay, wouldn't cave, wouldn't be Tessa the pushover anymore. The next day she emailed her parents. "I need space. No calls, no texts. I'll reach out when I'm ready." She sent it, eyes stinging but heart lighter. For the first time she'd broken free of their guilt trap. 3 days later, she and Jack planned a weekend escape to Mendocino ocean air. No family baggage. She thought the worst was over. She was naive. Tuesday morning, as she dressed for work, Ellen called. Tessa hesitated, then answered. "Can you come by tonight?" Ellen asked. "Your dad and I want to talk. Margot and Claire will be there." Tessa nearly dropped her keys. "You want me to face the people who demanded $2,400 for their mistakes and called me selfish?" Ellen paused. "I know it's ridiculous, but we're exhausted too. We need to settle this. If it goes bad, you can leave, I promise." Tessa sighed. "Fine. But I'm not bending to make anyone happy." That evening, she and Jack arrived at her parents' house. The air was thick, tense as a held breath. Margot and Claire sat on the couch, clutching tea mugs, looking smaller without Tom and Greg's bluster. Ray stood, his voice weary but firm. Sit. We're clearing the air. Tessa crossed her arms, Jack a steady presence beside her. Ray fixed his gaze on Margot and Claire. You two went too far demanding Tessa pay for phones because your kids ran wild, then insulting her? Unacceptable. Margot opened her mouth, but Ellen silenced her with a hand.
No excuses.
I saw the texts. I was ashamed. Ray continued. New rules. Respect, no manipulation, no guilting with family. Tessa, the lake house is yours. Nobody uses it without your say-so. If anyone steps out of line, your mom and I back the one wronged. Family doesn't mean trampling each other. Margot glared at Tessa. So I'm the VY lane over some phones? Tessa leaned forward, voice icy. It's not the phones. It's you never owning your crap. I'm done being your fix-it girl. Favors come with boundaries now. Claire's eyes softened. I don't want to lose you, Tess. Tessa met her gaze. You haven't. But I'm not the old Tessa anymore. The next morning, she drove to the lake house near Clear Lake, a cedar cabin she'd bought 5 years ago. Her name on the deed. A gift for her parents' retirement. She'd let them use it freely. A sanctuary of pine and water. Now it felt tainted. She changed the digital lock code, erasing the old one tied to her sister's birthdays, and called a locksmith for new keys and a camera system. Not for burglars, for family. On the drive back, Jack asked, regrets? She shook her head.
No.
It's mine, not a free-for-all. They want in. They ask and respect the answer. He grinned. You sound like a judge. She smirked. Good. I'm ruling my life now. She thought that was the end. She underestimated their shamelessness. A week later, Ellen called, voice shaking. Tessa, Margot's been renting out the lake house for 3 years. Tessa stood, coffee mug forgotten. What? Your dad found out from a neighbor, Mr. Hensley. Strangers come and go weekly. It's on a rental app. Margot's lakeside retreat. Photos, revues, the work 7, the private deck we built. Tessa's blood turned to fire. 3 years. While Margot played the dutiful sister, she turned Tessa's gift into a side hustle. $400 a night, $2,500 a week, more on holidays. How long have you known? Tessa asked, voice tight. Since yesterday, Ellen said. Margot freaked when you changed the code. Begged for the old one, said it was for friends. I checked the app. It's all there. Tessa laughed, a harsh, hollow sound. Friends are paying guests? The cabin wasn't just a retreat. It was her sacrifice, years of SOINGS, to give her parents peace after lean times. Margot had monetized her generosity. By noon, Tom texted. Tessa, Margot's a wreck. We're in debt. Let us use the cabin a bit longer, and we'll keep it quiet. She didn't reply. Hours later, the doorbell rang. Margot and Tom stood there, her eyes red, his jaw tight, holding printouts of canceled bookings. Please, Tessa, hear me out, Margot begged. I don't need to, Tessa said, voice steel. 3 years you lied, profited off my property, then called me selfish. You're done. Tom stepped in. We're drowning. It was just family use. Family. Tessa cut him off. You don't get to use that word. You've got an SUV, Disney trips, a big house. Don't cry broke to me. You gambled on my kindness and lost. Margot sobbed. Paul's hours got cut. The kids' school. Yet you flaunted your life online, Tessa snapped. The cabin's locked. New codes, cameras, weekly checks. Show up and I call the cops. Keep renting it? I'll sue for every cent plus damages. Tom flinched. You do that. Watch me. She slammed the door. That night, Ray called, voice heavy. I'm disappointed not just in Margot, but in us for VYing better. Ellen added. I thought love fixed this. It doesn't. Tessa gripped the phone. If family means being used, it's not worth SAVYing. The truth was just starting to unravel. For days later, dining with Jack's parents in Napa, her phone buzzed relentlessly. Jack glanced at it, face darkening. Tessa, look. Security alerts. Intrusion detected, Lake House main gate. She opened the app. The gate was smashed. A gray SUV sat in the drive. Tom and Greg, tools in hand, cut the lock in daylight. Her scream caught in her throat. Jack called Brent, the property manager. Sheriff's on it, Brent said. An hour later he confirmed. Cops caught them breaking the back door. They claimed family rights, but your deed and footage shut that down. They're cuffed. Did they fight? Tessa asked, shaking. Tom yelled. Greg threatened to smash your face. In front of the cops. Next day at the station, Officer Ramirez reviewed Tessa's evidence deed, footage, texts. Unlawful entry, property damage, threats. They're held, bail's delayed. We think they've done this before. Tessa's fury simmered. Press charges.
No merci.
Ellen called that night, sobbing. Tessa, let it go. Margot's crumbling the kids. Mom, they broke in with tools and threatened me. That's not familia, that's crime. Ray's voice cut in. Forgive them and you're a VY Tim forever. Tessa stared out the window, resolve hardening. No more. Then a twist. A priority mail envelope arrived at her office. Inside, a letter from Tom and Greg with a $5,000 check. We screwed up.
No excuses.
This covers damages. Drop the charges, not for forgiveness, for normalcy. We'll sign anything, no contact, no cabin, nothing.
Sorry.
Tessa's emotions clashed: anger, disbelief, relief. Jack read it, snorted. They're scared. Greg's clearance is at risk. Her attorney, Lydia Hart, agreed. End it clean. I'll draft a no-contact agreement. Keep the money, demand more if needed. A week later, a $2,500 check arrived with their signatures on Lydia's terms. No communication, no proximity, no cabin access. Breach meant instant lawsuits. Tessa signed, feeling the weight lift. She drove to the lake house one last time, hanging a sign. Private property trespassers prosecuted. That night Ellen called. It's over. Yes, Tessa said. But don't expect the old me back.
Nog had. Ellen whispered.
No. Boundaries. Peace settled in, not from forgiveness, but from reclaiming her life. The cabin stood quiet, hers again. A symbol of a battle won through steel, not softness.